this is Amber Brown, and this is my video of the reference project presentation of all the various notes and things that I've taken over the course of this semester for phonetics. So we'll just get started here with first card that I've got is over table 5.3. It describes the places of articulation versus the articulators that are involved in each of those places. The various places of articulation here listed on the left, and then the articulators involved on the right here. So for bilabial, it involves the upper and lower lips, labiodental, the lower lip, and the upper central incisors of the teeth. Dental, the tongue apex and the teeth. Alveolar, the tongue apex and alveolar ridge, which is just behind the teeth. The palatal, the blade of the tongue and the hard palate. The velar, back of the tongue, and velum. Glottal, which is the vocal folds, and the lingual, which is the tongue. So that's the various articulators, and then the articulators involved, or the places of articulation. Okay, next is the vowel quadrilateral, which is just this chart here showing the various vowels that are used in phonetics with the placement of the tongue, whether it's low, mid, high, and then front, central, back. And it kind of puts each vowel into their own category based off of the placement on this image, the chart there. Okay, so for the front vowels here, we've got the lowercase e, which also the diphthong of the lowercase e with the small capital I, both of which making the A sound. Its description is a high, mid, front, unrounded, and tense. The lowercase e is in unstressed words such as chaotic and mandate, rotate, and then the diphthong e and then the I is in the stressed words. It's like away, create, baby, and the various allographs listed there at the bottom. The next front vowel is the lowercase I, which makes the E sound. Its description is high, front, unrounded, and tense. It's in words such as fleet, we, TV, Easter, creek, and then the various allographs listed there at the bottom. The next front vowel is the small capital I, which was what I mentioned a little bit earlier in that diphthong. Its description is high, front, unrounded, and lax, and it makes the I sound, such as flit, whittle, inside, listen, king, intend. And then the various allographs there listed at the bottom that it can appear as in various words. Next front vowel is the epsilon, which is, looks like just a fancy E. It's going to make the eh sound. Description is it's in a low, mid, front, unrounded, and lax position. Some sample words is like met, steady, terror, pretend, and then the various allographs here listed at the bottom that it can show up as, and that's the epsilon, making the eh sound. And this is the next front vowel, which is the ash, the A and the E basically attached there in the middle, and it's making the ah sound. Its description is low front, unrounded, and lax, shown up in words such as trash, thank, jazz, batter, and then the allographs here listed at the bottom that it can show up as in various words. Now on to the central vowels. Right here is the right hook reversed epsilon. So like the other epsilon that we was dealing with earlier, this is the right hook reversed epsilon. It's like a reverse with a little tag at the end or at the top there. And it makes the sound. Its placement is mid, central, rounded, and tense. And it only happens in the stressed syllable placement. So in words such as curse, third, thirsty, Thursday, it's making that sound. And then the various allographs here at the bottom that it can show up as in a stressed syllable placement. That's the right hook reversed epsilon. And then the right hook schwa or schwar, is basically the unstressed version of that one. It is a mid-central, rounded, and lax, and it only happens in unstressed versions of So in pertain or Saturday, luxury, flirt, under, It's the unstressed syllable placement for the sound, and then the various allographs here at the bottom that it can show up as in those words. Next is the wedge. It's just like an upside down V. It's going to make the sound. It only happens in stressed syllable placement, and its description is low, mid, back, central, unrounded, and lax. So in words such as rub, button, flood, trouble, Monday, all those words making the sound, but only in a stressed syllable placement, which is where the most effort is being put into that one sound of that word. And the various allographs underneath here that it can show up as in each of those words, all making the sound. And the next one here is the schwa, which is like an upside down E. It also makes the sound, but it's in the unstressed syllable placement. Its description is mid, central, unrounded, and lax. And words such as astound, relevant, salami, undone, tuna, anything making the sound that is unstressed. And the allographs here at the bottom that it can show up as or appear as in the words itself. Now on to back vowels. We've got the lowercase o, in which it also has that diphthong O, U there. Its description is high, mid, back, rounded, and tense. It's going to come across as the sound of O, like bodacious, prohibit, rotation. Just the regular O is for unstressed O sounds. And then the diphthong is for stressed O sounds. And so like probate, stoic, bowl. And then the various allographs here at the bottom that it can show up as in general. And then here is the upsilon, which was in that diphthong on the last card. The upsilon is going to make the sound. It's a high, back, rounded, and lax. In words such as could, sugar, pushed, would, took. It's making that sound. And it's in the various allographs at the bottom here that could show up in the words making that sound. And that's the upsilon. Next to the back vowels is script A. It's going to make the sound, and it's more of an AH. I know that in the open O seems to be a little close together, but this is going to make more of a AH sound, like a little higher. Description is low back, unrounded, tense. Sample words like rotten, father, bond, apart. And the various allographs are listed at the bottom that it could show up as in the word itself. And that's the script A, making the sound. This is the open O. In the back vowels, it is looks like a backwards C, but it's called an open O, and it makes the sound. So there's a slight difference in it. Description low, mid, and then back, rounded, and tense. Sample words such as like prawn, all, cord, frog, off. Allographs here listed at the bottom that it could show up as making that sound. That's the open O. Next back vowel is the lowercase u. It's listed as oo in a sound. The description is high back, rounded, and tense in words such as chew, futile, truth, loot, tuna, super. All that oo sound basically. And then the various allographs here at the bottom that it could show up as in any of those words. All right, now onto the English diphthongs, which is all just stressed syllable placements. We've got listed here just a specific card, just listing all the diphthongs and then keywords that it could be pertaining to. We'll go into each one of them here in just a second. Okay, so the diphthong E and then the lower or the small capital I, it's going to make the A sound as we went over earlier, only in stressed syllable placements such as away, create, baby, and then the allographs are listed at the bottom that it could show up as, but it's making the A sound, but in a stressed syllable placement is the key there. Next diphthong is the open O and then the small lowercase I. It's going to make the oi sound. Again, in stressed syllable placement, it'll make an oi, such as toy, join, ahoy, exploit, and then the allographs here listed at the bottom that it could show up as. Next is the A and then lowercase, or the small capitalized I, and it's making the I sound, such as lice, ice, fiber, light, all stress syllable placement, and then the allographs listed here at the bottom as to what it could show up as in the word. Next diphthong is the O and then the upsilon, which makes the O sound, just the sound of an O. It's stress syllable placement in words such as probate, stoic, bowl, remote, slower. And then the various allographs here at the bottom listed to show the different words or ways that it could show up in a word. I believe this is the last diphthong, and it's the A and then upsilon. And it makes the ow sound in stress syllable placement in words such as loud, sour, clown, flower, around, powder. And then the allographs here listed at the bottom that it could show up as in a specific word. Now the R colored vowels, which is for this one, it's the open O and then the R, which it's upside down. I had wrote that wrong. That's the phonetic symbol for it. The R is upside down and the open O before it. And that's in words such as corn, board, orbit, shore. It's that or sound in words. Next R colored vowel is the, looks like script A and then a R, which again, it is upside down R. Sample words is like mart, heart, bark, art, all making that R sound. And then the allographs listed here at the bottom as to what it could show up as. Next R colored vowel is the small capitalized R, I, and then the R, which again, it's upside down. The sample words here is like fear, dear, mirror, weird, pierce. It's making the ear sound. And then the various allographs listed at the bottom as to what it could show up as in a word. I think this is the last R colored vowel. Nope, we got one more. It's the upsilon and then the R, which again, the R is upside down. Sample words such as secure, tour, and lure. It's making the sound, your. Allograph here listed at the bottom to show that what it could show up as in a word. And that's the upsilon upside down R. And this should be the last R colored vowel. It's the epsilon and then the R, which again is upside down. And that makes the air sound. It's in flare, there, bear, bury, wear, hair. And here at the bottom is the various allographs that it could show up as in words and what it would appear as, all making the air sound. Now on into the various consonants that we've got. First one is the stop consonants. T is the first one I've got here. It's an alveolar placement. It's not voiced, and it does show up in words such as talk, time, and tell. So it's making the t sound for the T. Next stop consonant is a P, which makes the p sound. It's a bilabial placement. It is not voiced and shown up in words such as pill, put, ponder, all making the p sound. Hard to hear because it's not voiced. Next stop consonant is the K. It is a velar placement. It is not voiced, and words such as king, cat, or coat. So it's just making the k sound, whether that's a C or a K. But it would be written as the K there. Next stop consonant is a G, making the g sound. It's a velar placement. It is voiced, and it's in words such as go, get, grapes. Any of those making the g sound. Next stop consonant is a B, as in b. It is a bilabial placement. It's voiced, and it shows up in words such as like bill, boat, and butter, making the b sound, and it'll be written as the lowercase b. Next stop consonant is the D, as in d. It is an alveolar placement. It is voiced, and it shows up in words such as dock, duck, and don't, all making the d sound. Okay, next stop consonant, it's the pause. It shows up as almost looking like a question mark, like a squiggle. It's a glottal placement, glottal stop. It's not voiced, and it shows up in words such as like uh-oh and kitten, where there's a pause in the sound coming out. It's shown as a full-fledged word here with kitten, but it's not pronounced as kitten, it's kitten, where that pause comes in, and that's that glottal stop where the squiggle comes in. This is the flap, the alveolar tap, which looks like an upside down J. It comes into effect, or it taps the alveolar ridge is the placement. It is voiced, and it's in words such as like butter, ladder, and kidding. It's like a two T's, two D's, when you kind of can't tell the difference between it when you say it. And that's the alveolar tap. And it's like an upside down J when writing in phonetics. Now onto fricatives. It's like a closer to the bottom 3. And that's going to make the j sound. It's an alveolar palatal, and it is voiced in words such as like measure, that j sound. And it's that 3 that's closer to the bottom. Next fricative is just this little circle with a line through it. It's making the th sound. It's interdental, and it's not voiced. And so it's in words such as like think, thought, through, the th sound. And then this is, I guess, the opposite of that in that fricative. There's a symbol for this th sound, and it is voiced. It's same thing, interdental, but it's voiced. So it's though, that, then. It's easy to kind of tell the difference between it because your lips and teeth and tongue will vibrate if you do it for so long, it kind of tingles. And so it's very easy to tell the difference between those two. The next fricative is this like elongated S, which stands for the sh sound, alveolo-palatal, and it is not voiced, and it shows up in words such as ship, shut, and shop, all making the sh sound, and that is the symbol for it, like elongated S. Next fricative is the Z, which would make the Z sound. It is an alveolar. It is voiced and would show up in words such as zoo, zebra, and zero, all of which having that Z sound. Next fricative is the V, which would make the V sound. It's a labial dental. It is voiced and will show up in words such as vary, volt, and volume, all having the V sound in it. Next fricative is the S, which is just going to make the S sound. It is an alveolar. It is not voiced, and it shows up in words such as sick, sad, and soap, all making the S sound. All right, this fricative is the lowercase h. It is a glottal placement, and it's not voiced. So it will show up in words such as hi, help, hero, all making the huh. It's hard to do it because it's not voiced, but the huh sound. Just breath almost. This next fricative is the F, making the f sound. It's a labial dental. It's not voiced, and it's feel, for, fall, that f sound. These affricatives is next, the TS making the ts sound. It's an alveolar placement. It is unvoiced, and it's in words such as gets, bets, forgets. That's you can tell there's a T before that's, and that is that affricative. Next affricative is the T and then the elongated S, which is going to make the ch sound. That's an alveolar placement. It's not voiced, and the sound, the sample words for it would be like chip, change, and choice. So like the CH making the ch sound. It's the T and then the sh sound. Next affricative is the DZ, which would be z, and it's an alveolar placement. It is voiced in words such as leads. It's that z sound. Next affricative here looks like the last one is the D with the shorter 3 there at the bottom. It's an alveolar placement. It is voiced, and it represents the J sounds. So jump, just, join, j, j. It's the D and then the lower 3 there. Now on to the liquids. Lowercase L. Let's see here if I can get this card around. All right, it is a voiced and an alveolar liquid. Words such as lawn, jello, split, bowl, and then the allographs here that it can show up as at the bottom. Next liquid is the turned R, which is that upside down R. It's a voiced and a palatal liquid. Shows up in words such as red, car, more, fear, there, and the allographs listed here at the bottom as to what it could show up as in words. On to glides, the lowercase w, which will be the w sound, voiced, a labial velar glide, in words such as win, swill, weed, twins, quartz. And then the allographs listed here at the bottom as what it could show up as in words. And next glide is the lowercase j, which is the y sound. It is voiced, palatal glide, in words such as your, young, feud, yellow, and then the allographs listed here at the bottom showing what they can show up as in various words. Next is the nasal consonants, so M, making the m sound. It's bilabial and it is voiced in words such as match, mine, and mold. Anything making that m sound. Next nasal consonant is the N, making the n sound. It is an alveolar placement. It is voiced and showing up in words such as nice, never, or not, making that n sound. All right, next is the nasal consonant ing, which is that N with a G bottom. It is a velar placement. It is voiced, and it shows up in words such as sing, wing, and ring, making that ing sound. All right, lastly here we've got the substitution process, and that happens in the stopping, fronting, deaffrication, gliding, and vocalization. I got table 1.8 as a good reference. I've got it printed out to show better and more examples of this. Just basically substituting the various sounds on one side and turning it into the sound on the right for all of these examples. Assimilatory processes associated with the labial assimilation, alveolar assimilation, velar assimilation, voicing assimilation, and devoicing. Again, table 8.1 is a good reference for that. Just basically replacing, like for example, in the labial assimilation, book is replacing a boop, and it's making it a labial sound as the replacement sound that's going into effect on those words. And each one will be similar in their own way. Syllable structure process, I think, is our last card, associated with weak syllable deletion, final consonant deletion, reduplication, and cluster reduction, all associated with changing the structure of the word itself. And so, like cluster reduction, taking out sounds in general, reduplication, repeating those sounds, and so on, or deleting the weak syllable in the word itself, all of which have the various examples there and more in the book, of course. But that is all the cards that I have got, and this is my reference project video. Thank you.